that. So we're thinking to where to, start afresh, start on a fresh foot, and outline all the things we are going to be going through together. So I'm putting it now before us. Um, what do you guys suggest? You guys can hold on mute, or you can raise up your hand, then I'll call you, then I'll ask you to unmute. Okay, at the various it's starting afresh is good. Also, we can use the chat box too, but um, voice will be faster. Okay, lateral network issues. Chinyere, Olaya, Abdullahi, Akimola, Kingsley. Please, can we have your inputs?
Okay, good evening. Think I think the idea is okay for us to start afresh. Some of us just joined the class, so that would be nice.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I forgot. Some people are just joining us, like I'm also joining us for the first time too. So, okay, so I guess that's settled. Does anyone have any contrary opinion? Because I understand that some people have started already, and it would look like drawing them backwards. But there's a whole planned out schedule for everyone. So whether you started before, sorry, so whether you have gone through it before or you're just going through it now, it's not going to be strange and it's not going to be boring for those that already um have started the classes already. But okay, that's just to get our opinions on that. Okay, not like starting afresh deeply, you can just glance through. That's per. Okay, I believe Krill is a student already of the class that has gone through the previous sessions. Okay, glancing through. Don't worry, it's going to be all good. Sorry, one second. Sorry, please, who is there? Chief, I beg, please calm down. Like I'm having a call. All right, so I'm going to be sharing the slides for today. So today is supposed to be an introductory class, basically where we get to find that we start off on a good foot, hopefully. Um, I'm going to be doing an introductory class. So let me share my slides. Oh, and by the way, I'm I'm Gotemi by name. Um, I'm a data I'm a data guy. Let's just put it that way. I've been in data for a while now. So in case you have any questions, you can do well to bump me. You can raise up your hand. I'm going to see it. And that's it. So share. So let me know if you can see my screen. So we can start. Anybody? Okay, people are still coming in. I don't want to say anything yet. Please, can you all see my screen? Please, you can all unmute to talk and just make an observation. Okay, alright. Thanks, Michael. Is it Michael or Esther?
Esther.
Okay, alright, thanks. Okay, so introduction to data analysis. So, of course, I'm sure some of us have an understanding of what data analysis is, some of us don't. So, and this class is supposed to let us, understand more. Some of us already know, fill up some gaps, it probably renew our understanding of what data analysis is. And so what's data analysis? Okay, so I want to make this very interactive. I don't just want it to be just me. I want it to be a hosting, so an interactive class. So please permit me. Um, should I call names or maybe people just volunteer? So I want to ask questions. So what do you understand? Does anybody have anything to say what data analysis is? Your understanding of data analysis, the concept relating to that. Anybody? Should I pick names? It looks like I have to start picking names. Okay, Pierre, can you help us? Can you share your knowledge on what you understand, your understanding of data analysis?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, data analysis is a way of extracting useful information from data and taking decision based on data analysis, or like it's a process of applying statistical or logical techniques to evaluate data. That's like what she explained earlier.
Oh, what she explained. Okay, okay, yeah, that's that's a good one. Data analysis. What she explained. All right, that's actually okay. Actually, um,
Um,
thank you very much, Abdullah. Do you want to share understanding? Abdullah, are you with us? Hello. Okay, looks like not here. Oh, Kingsley.
I saw that coming. Okay. Data. I think the world right now it's all about data. Every institution and every organization have data. What they do with the data is what sets them apart. My own layman understanding. So ability to make data more presentable or more comprehensible is data analysis.
Okay, thank you. That's perfect. All right, so data analysis is involves just actually involves data. It has to do with data. And note, data can be in different formats. The format for data exists as audio, text, um, video, images, basically. So it can be in different formats, but what we work more with when it comes to data analysis, we work with basically text data, that is numbers. Okay, we work with numbers, we work with dates, and basically work with strengths. So when it comes to data analysis, but data analysis can actually be extended to different kind of data formats. Can be extended to videos, can be extended to images, can be extended to map. That's geospatial data, to map data. So basically, data analysis is simply the process of expecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling and analyzing to discover useful information. draw conclusions, and support decision making. So the core, I would say the core thing here is drawing conclusions, discovering informations, and decision making, basically. So I'm sure you have heard of data-driven solutions. So these are solutions that are built based on data. So you can that could have been through data analysis or other forms of data, which involves data. Which involves data science and all of that. So we'll get to that briefly. So it involves various tools and techniques and skills to extract insights from data. So like I said, the what data analysis basically is all about is extracting insights from data. And like I said, data can be in different formats. So, but most of the time, we work more with text data. So, our data is usually in Excel, CSV, um, what other formats? I think there are formats where they use, I think SAV is what we use on SPSS. So data can be in different formats, like I said already. Um, there are also aspects of data analysis. So data analysis has different stages, different things that you actually have to go through. So from data collection, where you collect your data, do based on the type, then you have to probably clean those data, you have to undergo cleaning. Then from there, you have to probably integrate it into something else, or you transform your data. So maybe your data came in, for instance, CSV in a particular, maybe rows and columns. Okay, hold on. I think someone is calling for help on the group. Just a second. Okay. Okay, let's just continue. So, what was I? So I was talking about the aspect of data, where it goes from data cleaning to transforming your data to data reduction. So we have different aspects of data analysis. So you have to clean your data. That's, if you can see, a collection. So collection involves collecting, gathering data basically from different sources. It could be via Google Forms, it could be via Excel, it could be via questionnaires, it could be via databases, online database already. There are companies that actually store their data, and there are also what I what we call open source data platforms. So open source basically means free. So it means that data is out there ready for use. So there are different platforms where we can actually get data, and we could also decide to, build our own data. We could decide to collect our own data. So there's that also. And so there's also data cleaning, where you have to clean your data because these data they contain errors. Sometimes when people fill them, sometimes coming from how they were gathered. And I would say the only type of data that does not contain very serious error are blockchain data. The blockchain data, it's secure, it's complete, it's accurate, and it's reliable actually. But the only issues where you have with blockchain data is when you are dealing with the only issue can be from users. But naturally, the data from blockchain is complete, is accurate, and is reliable. There are no errors in it. It is end to end. So I was talking about data cleaning. That was what took me to blockchain data. So there are usually errors, inconsistency, things that don't match well when it comes to data. So we have to go through the process of cleaning the data, preparing the data for analysis. So still talking about um aspect of data analysis. So by the way, this class might expand a little bit beyond 9 if you're able to cover. Okay, so aspect of data analysis, still on the aspect of data analysis. So we have the exploratory data analysis. Sorry. So we have exploratory data analysis, we have statistical analysis. So basically um exploratory data is understanding the data by visualizations. So where we have key characteristics, we are just trying to explore and find trends, get insights. Basically, like I said, we are trying to identify patterns just by looking at the data, by observing the data. So there's also statistical analysis. These are where we use statistics techniques. We check for hypotheses, we check for inferences, we check to there are some specific analysis that we conduct statistically on those data to get some information. For instance, now frequency. Frequency is a statistical technique. It gives you how much a particular event is occurring, or yeah, so the count of a particular event occurring. So for instance, a simple example would be let's say okay, let's take Lagos for instance, the number of people that board a bus on a daily basis. So we have a statistical data telling us the number of people that bought bus on Monday, Tuesday to Friday, and the type of car that they bought, if it's an Uber car or a public transport, a commercial vehicle. So frequency will be to tell us that okay, the count of people that bought both bus and commercial vehicle. So that's an example of a statistical analysis. So, an example of an exploratory data analysis, like I said, you're just trying to find trends. So you're trying to see, maybe people that bought bus are probably maybe they are civil servants, and maybe people that bought more of private cars are people that work in banks. So those are trends that you can easily find. So you're trying to identify patterns. That's what exploratory data analysis is more about. Um, so moving on, so we also have the aspect of visualizing data. So this is where we present whatever we have seen, whatever trends we are trying to see, we are trying to communicate it to our stakeholders. So we have various stakeholders depending on the kind of data we are working with and depending of kind of solution we are trying to build. So most of the time, if you're in a company, the stakeholder is probably the CEO, users. Basically, they are key stakeholders, the users and the owner, the CEO of the companies, the administrative heads. So these are usually like the key stakeholders, but there are several stakeholders in that can be for a particular solution. Um, okay, so application of data analysis. Can anybody, let me see. Uh, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this. Um, okay, Eunice, can you help us? Can you share your understanding of applications of data analysis? Where you think data analysis can be applied? Eunice, are you here? Okay. Does anyone want to go ahead? Please, you can just help me by raising up your hands, because having to call, I don't know who is here and who's not here. Hello. All right, Chinyere, can you? Okay, Eunice is talking. We can't hear you, Eunice. Hello. Sorry, we can't hear you, Eunice. I think she's trying to talk. Does anyone want to just go ahead, please, so we can save time? Okay. Oh, my network is bad. Oh, sorry. Um. Okay, Adebayo. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, data analysis. is applicable in our everyday life. It helps to analyze situations and also make diagnosis like for correction of solutions.
All right. Thank you for that contribution, Adebayo. Anybody else? Ola, Ayobami, Timdayo, Pius, Semuwo. Anybody? Okay, I already told everyone that this class is going to be very, my classes are usually very interactive. So I will really,
Okay, Fire speaking here. Data
okay,
application.
continue first.
Hello.
Yeah, I said you can continue.
Okay, the application of data. One of the area aspects is also in transportation security. You can use data analysis.
All right, thank you. Oh, okay, so I was actually mentioning something before Pius came on board. I already told everyone that the classes are going to be very interactive. My classes are always interactive, and this is just to make sure that everyone is participating. So please, I plead your indulgence. So please, when it's time to participate, please let's participate. Okay, so application of data analysis. To put it general, data analysis can be applied to every day, like um like Adebayo said, data analysis can be applied to anything that has to do with data, provided that there's data for it. Anything can be applied to anything, any area, every area, provided there's what is data. So having to now seclude, so this is just to show you where and how it can actually be applied to each field. So in business, and that's for sales, you can of course there's data already, so you can analyze sales data, you can check for customer behavior, you can look for market trends. This is how we actually, if you look at a company that is data driven, um they actually use data analysis for their business strategies, so they know, okay, for instance, now um let's look at a cigarette making company, a cigarette producing company. So they noticed that, it was when I was working on a project I noticed that. So in January, between January and December, it's usually like festive periods, and that's when you have, you know, I think more of religious people making their, trying to be good and all of that. So it is known that the sales usually drop during those periods, and especially during the Muslim fasting period, they usually drop in sales of cigarettes and every other thing that has to do with beer, stouts, and the likes. But during every other period, especially immediately after those festive periods, there's usually a hike in there's usually a hike in demand. So there's a higher demand for production um of cigarettes, of beer, and the likes. So these companies now decide to, use data to from this data they're able to draw observations and draw inside that, okay, I think these are the periods when we should have more sales, more production, sorry, and these are the periods where we can reduce production. Therefore, this can also translate to their workers. That means they know that they need more hands when it comes to where they need to produce more, have a higher production. And during festive period, they probably don't need a lot of people at hand. So that's a simple way data can drive your business. You can optimize your business strategies. So in healthcare, you use data analysis. You analyze patient records. Also, you can use it to know when you have more patients on board. You can know the period. You can know the season. You can check patterns in diseases. You can see when users, or sorry, I say users, when patients have, they are likely to have disease, the period, the season of the year. This can help you to drive your, you know, help you make productive business strategy. Okay, Bankole is raising up his or her hand. Can you just something to say? Bankole, you can go ahead. Hello. Yeah, Bankole, can you speak? Okay, maybe when you're ready. Um, okay, so continue. So these are ways in finances, also in sciences, in sports, even so it can be applied to everywhere. The core thing or the most important thing is that there is data. You have found a way to collect data from your users, from people that are using your solutions, and from there hence you can optimize your business using data basically. And if you have noticed, there has been a very high increase in data-driven solution in the last decade. That's because we now have, there have been collection of data. And another thing is actually compute. We actually now have systems, computers that could process this data rapidly, faster. And I'm sure you would have heard of big data. I think when time comes, we'll dive into it. Bankole, we can't hear you. I can see your.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello. The network is bad here. I can't.
We can't hear you. Is it my network or our network? Can someone please confirm for us? Anybody? Just want to be sure.
Network is
Yes,
good.
I can hear you well.
Oh, okay, alright, thank you very much. Okay, so continue. So I was mentioning application of data analysis. Basically, wherever data is available, data analysis can be applied. You can build a data-driven solution. So the skills that are required for data analysis. Uh, basically, Babati. So basically, the skills for that are required for data analysis. Usually you can use spreadsheets. So basically, there's data collection. So these are abilities, these are things we have to go through. We have to have the understanding of how to collect data, statistical knowledge. Programming is not a core. Actually, you can use Excel, spreadsheets. But we can also use programming. When it comes to programming, it gives you flexibility. You can easily manipulate your data using some certain frameworks already. But that will require you to have an understanding of how the programming language actually works. Of course, if there's time, we'll delve into it. It's part of the curriculum. Then data visualization, that's creating dashboards. You can create dashboards in Excel, but we have specialized platforms for that, which is Power BI. I'm sure you've heard of that. There's Power BI, there's Tableau, and there's many more that you could leverage on. And then when it comes to the soft skills, which is we have critical thinking, that's the ability to analyze complex problems and logical thinking. So there will be some data that are very complex and will require us to be able to think through it, to be able to develop, to gather useful insights. Like I said, useful insights, because they can be insights that are gotten from data. You can get insight from any data, but if the insights are not relevant to the users or to the solutions they are trying to do, then it's useless. So this is where critical thinking comes in, being able to, get useful insights from data. Then also domain knowledge is very, very important. Of course, not as important, it's not compulsory the data analysts have domain knowledge about it. You could acquire domain knowledge from experts in the field. So if you're not an expert in that field, um, for instance, when we're having to talk about, let's say, for instance, now healthcare. Let's use healthcare for instance, for an example. I'm not a doctor, neither am I a nurse. I'm not knowledgeable when it comes to disease and diagnosis and all of that. So I would need to inquire from an expert, a doctor, a medical doctor, or a nurse, to actually get useful insights. So that's why domain knowledge is very, very important. It's very, very germane to data analysis. And exploration, that's analyzing data sets, discovering patterns, trends, and relationships. So from the domain knowledge, from the thinking, you are able to explore the data conveniently. You are able to know what information are useful based on knowledge from experts, not just from your own knowledge. Like I said, you could get insights from data, but if it's not useful, it is useless. Any insight that is not relevant is actually is actually just useless. So still on the skills. Okay, so I think this is just repetition. So there's this issue, contention between data analysts and a data scientist. And actually, it extends beyond data analysts. It extends beyond data scientists. So there's data, like I think it was Kinsey that mentioned it earlier, that data is actually a very encompassing field. So there are different fields. There's data analysts, there's data scientists, there's a data engineer, and there are machine learning and deep learning that's going into the more programming part. And around data analysts, there are other terms that are being used. For instance, there's business analysts. Actually, there are, I think there's business. I think I can't remember business analyst currently. So I don't know. Can anyone share what you understand? Because I'd like to, get our input on other fields. Because when we get to know about other fields, then one of the things it helps us with is collaboration. So if you are in a team where there's a data analyst, a data scientist, there's a data engineer, there's an ML engineer, there's a deep learning engineer, it helps with collaboration. You are easy to collaborate with each other, knowing that this is what each person ought to do. So does anyone want to share, maybe have an understanding of what data scientist is, or we data scientist is actually? Sorry, anybody? Please feel free to unmute. You can raise your hand up, no problem. Anybody? Oh, or is it a strange word, data science or data scientist? Is it strange? Maybe that's why we are not answering. Lawrence, at some part not spoken. Kingsley, anyone? Okay.
I think data science has to do with more of the theoretical aspect of data, unlike analyst data. What's the first one? So data analysis has to do with um, the physical. That's the raw information you receive when it's being processed.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Chinwe. Okay. Let me just go on. Just like people are not responding. Um. So, what's a data? What's the data science? What does data science involve? Uh. So basically, data science is more focused on building um models, algorithms. So to put it simple, to put it in a more simpler way, data science is more involved with uh, building a solution. So permit me to use the word solution. Building a solution that can be used to drive um, business strategies. So the kind of solution they build are more predictive solutions. So basically, I think we're using the instance of cigarettes, a cigarettes product producing company. So from, let's say we have data of maybe 5 years of the trends, basically just the data. So all the data science needs to do is build a solution out of that. So you can build a predictive model that can predict how sales are supposed to go in, let's say, 2024, given, okay, 2023, we are not done with 2023. So given the data part of 2023 from July to December, predicts the trends for sales. So give me the estimates of what my sales is supposed to look like. So this is usually on the basis of mathematical models. So it involves algorithms and the underlying principles of data science is mathematical modeling. But of course, not every data science has to understand what those mathematical modeling does. So there are frameworks, there are different platforms that have removed those abstractions, the mathematical modeling. So most of them just have to use probably Python or R for um for for building the solutions. So they don't really need to understand those mathematical model. Of course, if you have understanding of how the mathematical model works, it gives you an edge over your solutions, over others. But you don't have to understand that to to build a solution. So data science is just about developing models, algorithm, predictive analytics to solve complex problems basically. And I think deep learning is a deeper has to do with more of more of building complex solutions, complex problems. For instance, I'm sure all of us, or most of us, have heard of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a language model. It's also a model that was developed with for language, and it was developed with deep learning. So that's more of a deep dive into um, using data to build solutions, to build actual solutions that work. So data, so the to put the difference is data analysis is just involved with getting insight, creating, discovering patterns, useful insights. Permit me to discovering useful insights, patterns from data, basically, and using that to drive business strategies. That's what a data analysis involves with. So data science has to go ahead to build models, to use programming language, several programming languages to build a solution. So I hope I've been able to clear to make to make make you all understand, for those that don't understand it properly, and for some of us to understand hope you're getting something. So the workflow for a data analyst. So those are like the steps the data analyst has to go through for a for almost every problem. So there are defined steps. Of course, you necessarily don't have to go through the steps. Some of them can be defined for you. Some of them might not be defined. But we are looking at a a state where none of them is defined. So these are the procedures, the steps a data analyst has to go through. So first is defining the problem. So you have to understand the objective of the problem you are trying to solve. You have to understand who your stakeholders are, those that will benefit from the solutions, those that will benefit from the insights. So, and you have to state them. It's very important. You state them. So this will help you in your data analysis for the particular data you're trying to analyze. Then the next stage is collecting the data. So after identifying the objective, you have identified the problem. Now you have to find this will now tailor will guide your search in getting data. So it's in where what kind of data you need, where do you need to get your data, who are the specific people you need to get your data from. Maybe you're working with the finance data, for instance. Let's take the Nigeria stock market for example. So you need to go through probably the database of the finance market for Nigeria um to draw insights. So those that has to do with the data collection phase. So gathering relevant data, not just any data, relevant data. And then after you collected the data, you have to go through the process of cleaning those data. Yeah, you have to clean the data. Like I said, almost all the data out there, almost all the data out there needs are not clean. They actually have some issues. Some are missing some missing informations, incomplete informations. Some informations are not relevant. An example of that is, for instance, now you are collecting a data for let's say hospital data. Let's take hospital data for instance now. So you probably every patient will actually have to input their age. So in an instance where you're having age of maybe 0.5 or -3, or you're having 5,000 as an input, that you should automatically know that that's an irrelevant data. That's an incorrect data. I don't think it's possible to have age of 5,000 years of that. So, and also, I don't think it's possible to have negative age or even 0.5. Okay, we could say maybe 0.5 is like a baby, maybe that's like half, that's like 6 months old. That's 0.5 of 12 months. That's like 6 months old. But then it's not usually common. Most of the time, you should probably start from one. And when you're having patients to fill data, a patient that is filling the data cannot be 1 year. You can't have a baby filling the data unless you are collecting data related to that. But you're asking patients to fill data, you can expect at least maybe 10 years and above till around, let's say, 100. Because if you're already 120, you won't be able to fill your data yourself, I suppose. But that's just an assumption. So that's basically data cleaning and preparing your data, transforming it into a format for analysis. Then the next stage is data transformation. Sorry, data exploration. Yeah, and visualization. So transformation is actually also covered in data cleaning and preparation. So we have data exploration. This is where we now begin to visualize, explore the data, find trends, you know, look at things that are interesting about the data, go through it. Then you can also do this by visualizing the data. So that's where visualization comes in with um different frameworks, different platforms. I already mentioned we have Power BI, we have Tableau, we have uh we have Excel. Yes, Excel can also be used for that. Then also you can go ahead to do statistical analysis. That's calculating making calculations based on average correlations. You're trying to check, okay, what's the correlation? So a good example of where correlation can be used is an instance of age. Let's look at age and mortality rate. So that's the death rate. So what's the correlation? Correlation between, you're trying to check, okay, what's the correlation between age and mortality rate and death rate? How do they relate? So it can be that the death rate increase with uh higher when the age is maybe around 40, people that are 40 years, so 40 years and above, maybe it's reduced in people that are 40 years and below. So this is an example of correlation, statistical analysis. And then we now go ahead to make interpretations and decision making. So how does it come into play? So whatever we have visualized, findings, explorations, the patterns that we have identified, the trends, the correlations, every statistical analysis that we've done on the data. It's this where we now interpret those data, interpret them in a way that is understandable to our stakeholders, to people that will benefit from the data analysis. Now, this means that we have to interpret it because, of course, not everybody will be able to understand all that we have done. So we have to put it into formats, maybe in written formats, build visualizations, dashboards that are easy to relate with for our users, for our stakeholders. So this way it comes in. So we have to build it, interpret the data to them, interpret our analysis to them, and this will therefore lead to making, informed decisions, making recommendations, making business strategies, optimizing our business workflows. And that also covers reporting and communications. Like I said, summarizing our findings in a clear and concise manner. So we have to communicate the results to stakeholders through reports, presentations, dashboards, visualization panels, and what likes. So I think, okay, I've not talked about types of analysis. Okay, I think I mentioned this where we have different types of analysis. So I think I mentioned exploratory analysis where we discover patterns. Now, descriptive, the rest are basically under more statistical. So when it comes to descriptive analysis, you make summary or characteristics. Like I said, this more falls under more of statistical. Here you check for frequency, mean, median moods, and the like standard deviations. So and we have inferential analysis. So this is like drawing conclusions based on a particular data, based on a particular analysis. So this involves hypothesis testing. You are trying to check for confidence intervals and the likes. Then we also have predictive analysis. This is like using historical data. Basically, we call them time series data. So these are data that are collected over time. So they usually have a column on them that has to do with dates. It can be time, it can be date time. So date time means it includes a date and a time. Time means includes only time. Date means it includes only time. But what we have in common is usually dates and date time. So we use them to draw. So we are able to predict. For instance, the example I make using the cigarette production company. If you have the data over 5 years ago, you can predict what will happen maybe in the next 5 years, or the next 2 years, or the next 1 year, or the next few months. That's an example of a predictive analysis. Then a prescriptive analysis is making recommendations based on data analysis. So this can be like, okay, for instance, I think many of us, or most of us, or some of us, use Netflix. So Netflix has a recommendation engine that when you see a movie and you're done with the movie, it recommends other movie to you. Now that could only have been possible with recommendations. This is what we call prescriptive analysis. But then that's a already built solution. So we are able to take those kind of data and check for similarities between users, and we're able to prescribe what next, what movie they can see next after that. So that's an example of a prescriptive analysis. Moving on to what makes a data analysis. We already know what's a data analysis, but just to emphasize, the things that a data analyst is meant to, you know, have the skills that I think I already mentioned that, but this is just like a summary of it. So, strong analytical skills, basically, be able to identify trends, draw conclusions. So this comes with, working on more projects, working on more, um, the more projects you work on, the more you're able to enhance your analytical skills. Then proficiency when it comes to the tools. So like I said, there are various tools. There's Microsoft Excel. I didn't mention SQL. So SQL is a database format for data, actually. It's actually called structured query language, but most of the time we call it SQL. So it's another form of data, a data tool for data exploration. We'll get to see on that. Then we have Python, R, Tableau, Power BI. These are tools that just enable data analysts to process data efficiently, manipulate data efficiently, and communicate better. Also, there's need to have basic understanding of statistics, mathematics, and the likes. So basic understanding is needed initially for like the first data, and as we proceed, you get to get more, read more, understand more, gather more knowledge regarding this. Then visualization skills, these are very important. They come in place when you are communicating with your stakeholders. You are able to communicate your results efficiently in a way that makes sense to them, basically. So your results, your analysis can be useful, it can be relevant. But when your stakeholders don't understand it, then it's also not useful to them. So okay, or it can be useful to them, but they don't understand. And when they don't understand it, they can't make use of it. So the data must be relevant and must be useful and also presented in a way that stakeholders understand the analysis, they understand the result. Also, domain knowledge, like I said, depending on industry, domain knowledge is very important. And I gave an instance. So in a situation where the data analyst does not have domain knowledge, he or she can go ahead to elicit knowledge from experts in the field, gather knowledge. But it's very important that you have, in any way, you gather domain knowledge. You can't perform a data analysis. You can't perform data analysis on a data that you have no knowledge about. You have no domain knowledge about, either through someone or from your own knowledge. So if, for instance, now an example of that is, let's take let me see. Okay, let's take the stock markets, for instance. Now, if you don't have understanding of what the stock market is, you don't have understanding of the jargons that are, so jargons means words that are used in those fields that are not um like a simple user doesn't understand about, doesn't have understanding about. So for you to have understanding of those words, you have to be in that field. So if you are outside of that field, it's a jargon field. It's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. So words like that, to understand it, you have to meet an expert, meet someone that knows about it to explain, to tell you what it means. Therefore, you can now go ahead to do your analysis. So that's the essence of domain knowledge. Then problem solving abilities, so you're able to solve complex problems. So there are some data that are very complex. So for instance, you get to see that more when it comes to geospatial data. So these are data that have to do with maps and the likes. The communication skills is very important. It comes in place in communicating with users, in communicating with stakeholders. Like I said, if you can't communicate your findings efficiently in a way that is understandable to you, your stakeholders, to your users, then it's not useful to them. So communication skills is very, very important. So both verbal and written skills, and also visualization skills, very important. Then attention to details. Um, this is a very, very important aspect because what you are trying to look for when it comes to data are specific details, details that would not just be visible to users, will not just be visible out there. So you are able to being able to detect those details, recognize those details, cite those details is actually very important. That's why attention to details is very, very, very important. So even minor errors, being able to detect little errors, little analysis, little interpretations, and the likes. Then curiosity and continuous learning. So this is another part that is very important. Actually, is important for everyone to keep learning, being able to learn. So when there's a new tool out there, we are able to pick it up and do something with it and just try to learn about it. So this helps us to become more proficient or more proficient when it comes to our field of study. So as this applies to everywhere, it applies to data analysis. Then the last part is ethical considerations. Um, this part is a very important aspect. Of course, it's not heavily enforced in Nigeria because we violate, I don't know, but it's very, very important because we have to, data analysts work with data. And when we are working with sensitive data and confidential data, we have to understand the ethical guidelines that are surrounding those data. So we have to maintain privacy, security. For instance, you're collecting an hospital data, you have to ensure that the data you're collecting is secured. There's no leakage because it's confidential. You have patient information there, and so you don't want that information outside. So there are privacies, there are laws that governs things like this. So for instance, let's look at Facebook. I think Facebook had an issue with that maybe last year or 2 years ago with our data. I think it was a serious. They were sued. They went to court and they lost. It cost them a lot. So this is a very, very important aspect. Ethical considerations. And I'm sure, okay, most of us have used softwares where we have to, accept privacy terms and conditions. Of course, I'm sure most of us don't read it. It's usually long, but those are very, very important aspects that we need to consider. Ethical considerations. So, that'll bring me to the end of this slides, and I'm going to stop sharing. So, it's actually past now, but I'm going to Tolu. How far now? So, I'm going to take questions now. So, if there are any questions so far, please, if you entertain any questions now. So, please, if you have any
So,
questions,
sorry, the first, my question first is, I thought the class was for 2 hours.
okay. So, on there's a recent update from the administrative heads, and they said they don't want any class to exceed beyond 9 p.m. So like all classes should close by 9 p.m. And I I got to find out that today's class was supposed to begin by 8 p.m. That's why I proposed earlier that we should start by 7. But since everybody mind was fixed at 8 p.m., we decided to start by 8. So for this class, for today's class, an exception will be made regarding that. So this class can actually, when it's 10, we can keep going till when it's 10 p.m. we round up. I don't know if you understand.
Okay, okay, I understand it. So moving forward, that means on Friday we'll be starting by 7 instead of 8, so we can meet up with the 9 o'clock mark.
Yes. So regarding
Okay.
that, um, so I think this is going to affect a lot of schedules for everyone, because I'm sure this time that you have picked or this time you guys work with is a time that has been seems to be more convenient for everybody. So well, I guess actually we don't have everybody here. People are dropping out of the call and coming in. So I would actually like to suggest I'm going to drop a poll on the group on the days and time so we can decide what day is more convenient for most of us and the timing. So maybe for some people maybe Wednesdays can work. For instance, someone said he has class by 7 on Wednesday. That means he won't be able to join the
Sorry,
call.
sorry to cut you short. Please, for me, I have classes on Mondays and Wednesdays between 7 and 8, and Sundays from 4 to 6.
All right.
All right.
Noted.
Thank you.
Okay. So like I was saying, we would have to check on the group and just do a poll to decide the days and the time. So so the classes are 2 hours, of course. Then we have to look into what day will be fixed. Of course, it doesn't have to be 7 to 9, can be before, but I think most of us will favor 7 to 9 because I'm sure your classes are usually 8 to 10. But now we can't exceed 10. We can't exceed 9 p.m. So probably have to shift it back. So I don't know. Fridays. Um, from people that are on the call right now, is Friday 7 to 9 okay?
No, probably you should just do the poll. So when you do the poll, like give different classes, different opinions, you'll be able to decide on the majority like that. That's
Okay.
better.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we just have to do that and go ahead with that for the classes for the class timings. So so that's any other questions like so we can take questions. Of course, um, there's an outline for I think you guys already have the outline. So let me see if I can share. Uh, can you see my screen? So this is the course outline for data analysis and data science.
Sorry,
So
is this the note that has been shared on the group, or this is your own note?
no. This was a note that was given to me from the previous tutor.
Okay,
So
thank you
I
very
want
much. Thanks.
to assume that maybe I'll send it to the group again. Maybe for those that just join in, maybe they don't have it.
That'll
Yeah,
be better. That'll be better.
yeah, that will be better. Please send.
Okay. So I've just sent it to the group, so you should leave that anytime soon. So this is the course outline. So the tools that will be using Microsoft Excel, Python, SQL, and Power BI or Tableau, depending. Uh, Power BI depends on whichever comes, but we'll most likely be using Power BI. Then so the outline for the course we have data analysis, data science, data collection. That's introduction to data analysis and data science, which we already did today. We're having data collection, data cleaning, data analysis, data visualization, model designing, then model building. That has to do more with Python. So with Excel, that's spreadsheets. So, we are going to be using Excel, but Excel is not the only platform that you can use. Spreadsheet, any spreadsheet application, any spreadsheet application. So there's Excel, there's Google Spreadsheets. I think there's Microsoft. Okay, I think it's Microsoft that owns Excel. There's Office. I think Office Forms too. So there are various spreadsheets out there that are used. So this whatever you learned with Microsoft Excel or SQL or Python or Power BI is not limited to just those tools. It can be applied to other platforms that are similar to that. For instance, now, Python is a programming language. Um, whatever we learn from Python can be extended to other languages. For instance, R. R is also another tool that is used for data analysis. Data scientists use it more. Same with Python. But since they are programming language, it's easier to switch. Same is applicable to SQL. To SQL, we have other SQL platforms. We have NoSQL. Um, we have other platforms that actually use it. So, same thing with Power BI, Tableau, ClickView. ClickView is not usually very used. I think I used it in 2020. But I think it was because it was something I was working with was using it then. So that was why I was able to use it too. But I haven't really, it's a very good tool too for dashboards. So that's the thing about um learning. Learning is not just applicable to just one thing. So with Python, so we'll be going through this. So variable naming, basically all the things that we need to know. So the basics of Python, um data type, what it has to do is we're going through basically learning the Python programming language with just the basics, not everything, just what we need for our data analysis, basically. Then we'll also be using SQL. So SQL is specialized for database, interacting with databases. So there are large databases out there, Google, uh, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon. These are where they store their actual data. So we have multiple data, multiple tables in it, multiple database. You can have multiple data, multiple tables, multiple informations in one database. So for instance, now let's look at um let's look at HiGen. So HiGen has data analysis, people that are involved in data analytics, people that are involved in data science, people that are involved in HR, and that's human resource management, people that are involved. So let's take that three for instance. So there's HRM, sorry, there's HRM, there's data science, and there's data analytics. So now uh these are uh three different sections. So these sections have their own database, have their own tables. So maybe in the data analytics, you have the information of those that are currently taking the course. So in data science, you have the same information. In the HRM, you also have the same information. Now, of course, there is something that you can use to track. For instance, every user should have every tutor and student will have a a ID, that's an ID code and identification number that is unique for each user. So in this situation, you are able to interact with them. So maybe you need all the list of all the users of all the sorry, I keep using users. You have a list of all the tutors and students and you need everything in another table. This will help you to bring them together actually. So that way you get so it's just more easier to interact with. It's a specialized platform for working with databases. So that's data analysis. Sorry, SQL. Then we also have Power BI and Tableau. So Power BI and Tableau is basically making visualizations. So you bring your data into it. Basically, okay, there's not supposed to be data cleaning here, sorry. Basically, it's just visualizations and dashboards. So your data must have been cleaned before you bring them into your visualization platform. Must have been cleaned, must have been ready, and be shared in a format that will be usable and will be usable inside of your visualization platform. So if you're using Power BI, you already know the format. It can be in CSV, it can be in XLS, it can be in uh Power BI is very rich. Same with Tableau in taking several formats. So even geospatial data, so you can bring in those data into Power BI because you have already cleaned it. Then you visualize and you build your dashboards. And also there will be a project phase where we have to, every individual will build projects that are specific. Everyone will be given a project to build on, to work on. And okay, so let me just come in. I want to pull up um several projects out there. So there are platforms actually online. For instance, you can use if you have I don't know some of us that use Twitter. So one thing you can do is Tolu. One thing we can do is we can engage with social medias like LinkedIn, Twitter. For instance, I know Twitter has a lot of a data analysts out there, and you can use that to check on what's going on. So I just want to pull up some projects on data analytics, on data analysis that people have worked on, and so that's another way to learn. You can go through people's projects, what people have done on data analytics, how they were able to draw insights. Okay, I think I've seen one. Let me share my screen. Um, share. Yeah. So can everyone see this? So this is like an example of a data analysis. So I think this person was able to analyze the employee data for a particular company. So and was able to draw all of these insights. So we can all see this is like the end goal, the end of it. By the end of the thing, person has been able to. This is dashboards basically. Person has a lot of cards and informations, obviously, and these information have to be relevant. Don't forget, emphasis on that. Useful data. If the data is not useful to your stakeholders, then it's good as useless, basically, and it must be appealing to them. So these are, the name of the company, employee that's Splendor Incorporations, total employee 1,000, sorry, and it seems to have more female. You can see the highest salary, you can see the lowest salary, you can see the ethnicity of the employee data. So I think they have more of Asian. Then the gender distribution based on age. We also have the bonus percentage based on the business units. We have average annual salary by departments. So it's obvious that the human resource department has more salary. Okay, the human resource and the marketing has more annual salary. So of course you can see by the job title, obviously I think maybe the vice president has more than the director. And we can also see attrition. I don't know what this means, but we can see the employee that have existed. So the number of employees that have left the company, the rate at which they left, or yeah. And we can also see the geographical distribution. Another thing that this person could have done, like that, I'm just saying it is probably since I'm saying salary, could actually draw insights on which of the gender is any more. So is it the male? Is it the female? The distribution of the male and female gender on in each uh in each department. For instance, now in the tech department, of course, you're expected to see more male gender. But then, if you have more female gender, because there's this woman in tech, you're trying to promote women in tech nowadays. So, those kind of data will be useful to the stakeholders. So these are things that you can draw. These are insights you can basically draw. So, I think I'll stop sharing that. I think that's the one I was able to see. So there are just various ways you can check LinkedIn. So this is where we have to, like I said, we have to keep learning. Um, Continuous learning. So we can use our social media handles. You follow. I don't know if it's a good idea to drop my Twitter handle. Of course, I've not been using it for a while now, but it's filled with data. If you get into it, all you'll be seeing is more of data analysis, data analytics, data science, machine learning, deep learning, basically. So my social media has been tailored more towards that. So that's basically it. So does anyone wants to say anything? Think talking for a while. Okay, I've sent the outline already. Files.
Please, are we
Okay.
getting the slides you used this evening?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll share it. I'll send it. I'll drop it on the group.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, so another thing is we are going to be having um maybe a question and answer session. I don't know, maybe we'll dedicate like maybe 30 minutes or thereabouts to answer our questions, because while we'll be going through the course, we might have might not be getting some things. We might have questions regarding some matters, regarding some techniques, regarding some concepts. So if it's not clear, we might need to go through that. So there's going to be a question and answer session. So I'm going to create a Slido account, and I'll drop it on the group. So that way everyone can drop their questions there. It's a platform. It also allows for anonymous uh, identification. So when you drop your questions, you can try to drop your questions anonymously, or you can try to sign up and create a question. So maybe um, at the end, okay, the next session is probably going to be on Friday. So maybe after Friday, it will start kicking off, because we'll now begin to deal with different concepts, different techniques. So for those that are having issues, it's just be a session to deal with all of our questions and answers. So I think that's a good one, because I got some feedbacks from the from um from someone that's one of the administrative head. She complained to me that usually people have issues with questions with some concepts that they don't understand and all of that. So that session will just be to cater for all of that, so we can learn and move forward. And also, um, there'll also be quizzes. We'll be having to go through quizzes. So maybe at the end of each module. Okay, someone is just joining. So at the end of each module, um, there's going to be um a quiz session that will just be to test our understanding of the concepts that we have gone through. So it's just going to be a very simple one. It's not going to be a very difficult one, just to push us and evaluate our learning basically. So at the end of each session, so there's going to be a lot of sessions. So like I said, Excel, SQL, Power BI, then Python. So there's going to be a lot of them. So so I think that's basically it's let me check my notes. So there's going to be quizzes, there's going to be 30 minutes, then yeah. So I think that's all from my hand. So does anyone want to say anything? If someone said I should drop my undo. Okay, I guess I'll just drop it here. Okay. So anybody contributions, feedbacks. Okay. Ola, yes, this is the first class. Okay, who's talking? Chinwe, you want to say something? Okay, and I already mentioned that my classes are going to be very interactive. So I really do not appreciate. I don't appreciate muteness and silence, overwhelming silence. This silence is overwhelming. I'm tempted to think I'm the only one here. So we're not going to condone this. Not compulsory everyone talk, but we are going to we are going to have to make active contributions. We are going to talk. We are going to get to know each other along the line. Yeah, very very important. So I'm asking for contributions. Anybody, you have anything to say? Now is the time. We have already talked about for those that just joined. I think someone just joined us. Um, there's a new policy where we have that states in the company that we have to all classes have to end by 9 p.m. or must not exceed beyond 9 p.m. So we are going to be sending a poll to the group to readjust. All right, thank you, Chinwe. So adjust the class schedule. So okay, all right, thanks for that, Esther. So we are going to be adjusting the schedule. Of course, if Wednesday will not work, we can always change it, always change the date. And I think weekend is always for resting, but we could also try to, have our classes on those days, maybe squeeze in a period, maybe it's 2 hours. Any 2 hours where you can see. Oh, Ola, okay. All right, Ola, noted. That's why I was actually saying that if uh, everyone can say something, we are all, even Ola, you are contributing and your contribution is on the message, you're using message. I would actually appreciate if you could unmute and make your contributions. So let's all get to know each other. Let's be free. Um, yeah, I think that's it. So, maybe you are going to be doing some kind of little quiz just to make sure to get everyone involved to talk, because I'm not used to people being silent like this. This is too much. Okay, so I think that's all from my side actually. I've mentioned everything I want to say. I've sent the course outline to the group. Okay, let me send the um okay, so I'll just send the link to the presentation slides. So I'll send it to the page. Um Okay. So I'm sending it already. So I've sent the slides for today for those that were asking for it. So I've sent it already. So basically at the end of this course, we are supposed to be able to have comprehensive understanding of the techniques regarding data analysis. Collect and clean, take any data and perform data analysis on it, any data basically, using whatever tool we desire to use. Then also, we are going to be dealing with statistical data, so like statistical methods. And just to prepare your mind, they are more theoretical, but I'm going to try as much as possible to involve some practical aspects to it, because I also learned that uh, previous sessions it was more theory, which made the class boring, and most of most of most of us were not understanding. Most of the students were not understanding. Sorry. So we're going to try and involve some practical aspects. So it's going to be more relatable, and some quizzes will be done. So the quizzes might not even be actual. Maybe you have to take quiz. It might just be during the class where we actually have to ask some question, put the challenge out there, and solve it on the spot. That's another way to enhance uh, our analytical thinking. So to reiterate, so we are going to be doing data analysis, basically working with Excel. Then we'll also be working with SQL, that's databases. Then okay, another part I forgot to mention was we're also going to be relating more of this to what is actually going on, the current trends. Um, how is data analytics being practiced in the field currently? So how these tools are currently being used. Of course, we are going to be checking, learning how what to do with those tools, but we're also going to be looking at best practices. So best practices involve what is currently going on, how these tools is probably currently being used in the industry today. How is Excel being used? How is SQL being used? How is Python being used? How is Power BI being used currently? So we are going to be looking at that too comprehensively. So that way we can also, not fall back when it comes to trends in the industry. So since here I think some people are really trying to open uh the slides. Sorry, they are still private. Let me share them. Anyone with link. Okay, so I think that's all from my side. So if there's no contribution again, um we'll be rounding up the class early then. So oh, you're welcome, Pius. Yes, there's going to be active practical class at the bio. Yeah, assignments. Okay. Yeah, okay. I was thinking of pop quiz, but assignments. All right. Okay, I think assignment is also a good way to evaluate and get our hands dirty, do more work. So I think there should be weekly assignments, and of course, I think I understand that some people would like to might not be able to meet up. So there'll be considerations, maybe a week deadline or 2 weeks at most for the assignments. So the reason why I will not like the assignments, so I won't like to give that much deadline. I would like to reduce the deadline is because so that everyone can follow through and be on track. So it's not be like some people are lagging behind, some people are falling behind, some people are staying with one when we are heading in with five. So that would be the reason why we won't be doing that. Well, we are done for today's class already. So if there's no contribution, I think we can end the class now. here right now. So everyone, do have to have a good day.
Good night.